So like total cost for this, we paid $6,000 for it, which was a bit high.
We have about 1,200 watts of solar panels that we're going to attach to the top of this.
This couch is my favorite thing in the whole camper.
You know, it had a lot of water damage and thing, which is always worse than what you see on the surface. Hi, we're Adam and Janelle.
This is our 1982 Silver Streak Dabby. She was a mess when we got her, but you gotta see her now. Welcome inside our Silver Streak. It is very brightly colored in here, and I love that because as an adult, you're always told, well, you're not told, but you get this mindset of like, my house has to look really adult and mature, you know? So I went crazy with the colors in here, and it's not actually the way I would ever think I would have decorated, but I love it. So when you walk in, you have my husband's desk here, and then this wall actually slides out, and we have wiring behind it. There's also like a fuse box and an outlet, stuff like that in there. It's just so we can access it if we ever need to. This couch is my favorite thing in the whole camper because the armrests all move. So you can literally have it however you want. This is my favorite setup because you can like curl up and get all comfy. And then our couch also lifts, and you've got storage for every single thing you can imagine. So like I've got a sewing machine down here. We've got photography equipment, workout equipment, canned goods, art, like our libraries down here. And what's nice about the couch also is since these all move, that means they all can come off. So when they're all off, it's just short of a full-size bed. So you can fit a lot of kids on there or a couple of adults. And it's a cozy, nice place for a guest to be. Up top, I have all kinds of little knickknacks that mean a lot to me. So I've got stuff that was my grandmother's from her kitchen. I've got a hairy coo. I've got a portrait of my late pug. It's just like a little homey shelf. Up here, we've got tons of storage. And then, a little place to put our shoes when we come in. We also have wraparound windows up here. On the other side of this window is an awning, and it's very windy today, so we can't have it up. But when it's nice out, you can see everything around you, and it's just really nice to sit here and be able to look at whatever you're parked by. So this camper was a really big mess, and the entire thing had to be rebuilt, which meant that every single shelf had to come out. All the walls had to come out, the entire shell had to be pulled off. So when we put the aluminum back in, that was really hard, by the way. But we got that put back in, and then we started to put the shelves and the cabinets back in. And there were spots where you suddenly had gaps between the aluminum and the cabinets. And it's really hard to find trim that goes with the bins of the bins of anything, let alone a big camper, a big expanse like this. So I opted for this really fat rope, and I actually hot glued it up. I had the entire camper done, but we are currently parked in Texas, and in the summer this is a sauna. So most of it fell off, and we're moving our camper to the UP, and so once we're up there I'll put it back because it's not gonna melt off then. So this is all that's remaining of the rope right now. I do really like how it looks, and I can't wait to put it back up because it really makes a huge difference, and it helps get rid of those gaps.
So this camper actually started with a camping trip to Washington. So we went camping, and I was so mad at him because he didn't take time off of work. And so I was like, you're gonna work while we're camping in a rainforest? Are you insane?
Yeah.
But he did. I woke up and he's on his laptop in the rainforest working. And his boss is like, wow, you got a lot of work done. I was like, cool, I'm not coming in anymore then, okay? And so from that point on, he was pretty much remote. So we sold our house, we bought a camper, realized that one was way too small for us, and started looking for another camper. We saw this one, thought, well, that's a lot of work, but it's just, flipping the inside, right? And would be good. So we bought it, and then we realized how much work this actually needed. And that's how we got to this point.
It's about a year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it took about a year off and on. We took a few months to travel to Australia and New Zealand and a few other places during that year. So it's like a little more than a year, but I think about a year's worth of time. And it's still not done. There's things we still need to do, like the roof, the ceiling is ugly, the floor is buckled and need replaced, but
it'll never be done. I mean, there's always something to do, but it's kind of like having an old house, right? There's always something to work on.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just keep making it better.
Yeah.
So this is our kitchen. The top is just a piece of pine. We wanted the butcher board look, but it's very heavy. So pine's cheap and it's light, so we just went with that. These cabinets to here are actually the original kitchen cabinets. There used to be an oven here, but we didn't want it or need it. This is actually part of the original bathroom cabinet. So, you know, it's a typical kitchen. We've got dishes, we've got storage. They all latch shut. There's like a little catch, so they all stay closed when we're driving. Up here, these are original too. There's a button here you push to open them, and dishes on both sides. This used to be where the panel was that you monitored all of your water levels and everything. It didn't work. It was all busted up, so we just patched it. So this is our induction cooktop. We also have a Ninja Foodie oven. We opted to not have something permanently installed because there's not a lot of counter space. So to be able to just grab what you need to cook whenever you need it is the route we went with. The backsplash is actually a peel and stick sticker. It's made to be on a stair tread, and I liked the colors. I liked how it looked. It needs a little bit of repairs here and there, but with our sink, this is actually a refurb we got from a store in Missouri that does like RV refurb stuff. And it was only like $10-15, so I love it. This is our sink. This pulls out so you can spray both sides. And then we have a soap dispenser too. So I love to travel internationally. So when I go places, I often just have a backpack on. So when I bring back a souvenir, it has to be small. So I have started collecting just postcards from my travels or like a tea towel, and I use those to decorate. I think you put them in a frame and it adds a pop of color and its personality, and it's just cute. So I have stuff here. We've got our scratch map. This is just places we've been in our van or the RV. So we've almost been to all the states, but just not in our van. And then, you know, we've got some more art here. This is actually cool because it's Bluetooth. And so when we're not here, we know the temperature inside our camper. So if our dog's in here, we know if he's too hot or if he's okay. It's very handy. This is our refrigerator. It's a Norcold. It can be on solar/battery or propane or electric. So right now we're plugged in. It's running off of that. Typically an RV fridge has like a wooden inset or something. This did not come with it. So this is just sheet metal we got from Lowe's, and we put it up. It's magnetic and it's very handy. So this is our coffee nook. We normally have a coffee maker here, but it's at our cabins. We actually have 3 tiny homes. So right now I just have a kettle here, and we keep our coffee, we keep our syrups. Up here we have this other storage area. It's got more coffee in it. It's squeaky. We've got tea in that side. And then underneath we just keep our Instant Pot and our blender and some extra water, stuff like that. Next to that is our pantry. This door is also original. It's very squeaky, sorry. And it's full of food. We built all these shelves. There's more room than 2 people need for food ever. That's our food pantry. So over here is our little dining area. So we have a bench that we can pull out. It's got storage for all kinds of things in it. There's tools, there's dishes, there's everything. We have a square microwave because apparently those exist, and it fits perfectly right there. I painted this wall just on a whim one day because it was boring and I didn't like boring. And then just some fun things. These are my late grandmother's canisters that they're from Holland. I don't know how she got them, but I just love them. So when we got our camper, everything in here was like turquoise blue. Everything. It looked like a 50s diner. And these deer or moose, I don't know, they were hanging up in the bathroom and they were also turquoise blue. So there's 3 of them. I thought they were really cute because my husband's, I guess our last name, the family crest has a deer on it. So I was like, let's keep those, let's paint them gold, let's hang dog leashes on them.
If you are considering buying a vintage trailer, look it over really, really insanely well. Like, I'm talking, get underneath it. If you feel any soft spots on the floor, run, because it probably means that the frame is rusted. But if you're willing to do it, if you have the time and the resources to do this, like, this was our first build. We had never done anything. Parts of it show, but you know, you gotta have the heart for it. And if you can do that, if it's something you're really passionate about, then do it. But just know it is never as easy as you think it's going to be. Never.
Yeah, so like this one, when we got it, you know, it had a lot of water damage and thing, which is always worse than what you see on the surface. And we were lucky because my parents had just built this giant barn that would fit the whole thing. So when we did the top off rebuild, we weren't exposing all of this to the elements while we were working on it. We were lucky that we were able to do that. And a lot of people that, if they're looking for just a cheap camper that need to take it apart, might not have a place to do that. And so you'd have to rent that or pay someone to do it, and the expenses could go up really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So,
also, floating a shell off a camper is very dangerous. So there are people online who can tell you how to do it, but you have to be really careful, because like, it's sharp metal and it's floating in the air.
Yeah, all the metal you're working with, especially when because you're having to source a lot of this from manufacturers, not from people that have finished the metal. So a lot of it's going to have the sharp cut edges rather than the finished edges. So you have to protect your hands and like make sure you don't get cut. And when you attach everything, you have to have special tools to, like, when we put this together, we were joking about Rosie the Riveter, because we had to have these rivet hammers to actually hammer all these solid rivets together. There are other kinds called Olympic rivets, but they tend to leak over time. And so if you want a long-lasting build, you got to put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
And of course, this is our bed, queen size, nice and comfy. All right, and the headboard that you'll see in a little bit, my wife has done a mountainscape on it, which is really cool, and it has storage built into it. We have a nice big closet. So this is my wife's closet, and then behind you, as I'm sure you'll see in a little bit, is my closet. Yeah, we have our regular plugs. Underneath here is kind of where we have like our kitty litter for the cat, and like a pet bed and stuff like that for animals, and of course a scratching post. We have this just kind of hold little knickknacks, things like that, just a handy little thing from IKEA. These boards we put all around because this is an aluminum frame camper, so if you're just screwing into the wall, you're going to tear it up over time. This way we can hang things. And so this is kind of a container where we have some storage, holds all of our electrical and water inlets, so we can shut everything off from this one area. And then we said, why not make it into like a little day bed, you know, a little seating area to read from or something. So yeah. So the most important room in the house, here's the bathroom. So it has a toilet, it has a shower that's under renovation, and a mirror, and this mirror was original to the camper, so we made sure and hold on to that. Of course, we built in, you know, an outlet so you can charge your phone while you're going to the bathroom. And it's a composting toilet. It's, you know, what you would expect from a composting toilet. Has the shavings built into the side, so you can just lift up and, you know, throw your shavings in. Okay, so my wife's closet was back there. This is my closet. This is where I keep my clothes. So these doors are original to the camper. Anywhere you see a door like this, it was original to it. And so here's my closet. It holds a lot of stuff. And what you see up here is the original data card for this vehicle. So we have all the serial numbers and where it came from, who made it, what year it was. It's all on this, so we preserved that. So I thought that was cool. All right, so to stay cool, we have an AC right here, and then behind that we have a max air fan that's fully automatic. On top of that, we also have a vent here and then a vent behind you that's the same as this one. They open up, they all have little fans in them, except for the max air, which is a big fan. And yeah, it keeps us nice and cool. So there were actually 2 air conditioners originally on this. There was one here and one where that one is. They are very heavy on the roof and mostly unnecessary for what for the size of this, as long as we have other ways of cycling the air. So yeah, we took this one completely out and left that one in because it is nice to have some cool air. For heat, so when it was super cold last year, we had a Mr. Buddy hanging on one of the walls over here. It did keep the whole thing warm. It was one of the 18,000 BTU Mr. Buddies, but we found at times the area it was in got too hot with its radiant heat. And it would also, of course, it releases moisture into the air because it being propane. And so in our vehicle, we have a diesel heater that cycles the air from the outside and keeps it separate from the air inside, so it stays a dry heat. And so we're switching to that in here. We have all the stuff to install it, but it's not installed yet. So the majority of what you see here is original. There were quite a few things that we had redone to match the original. So for example, we had the windows, some of the windows were replaced, and the ones that were done to match the originals. We had them retrimmed. We had to replace all of this trim because that had corroded over time. This aluminum is anodized. You'll notice it's not shiny like you'll see a lot of Airstreams that you're used to seeing, things like that. This isn't shiny like those. It has a protective layer on it, which does kind of look a little, aged. And we also are in the process of redoing the underbelly of this so that we can insulate it better for all seasons. So underneath, as you've seen a lot of newer RVs, they have a plastic corrugated layer that goes underneath. And so we've actually cleaned out some of the aluminum that went all the way underneath this, made an area where we can go in, put in the insulation, and then put the plastic on. It also makes it easier for us to do repairs in the future because now we don't have to cut holes in aluminum to do that. We can just cut the plastic and put a patch on. So in its current state, it's not good to go off-grid in this one because we saved our off-grid capabilities for our camper van that we've done some traveling in. But in the future, in the barn that's behind us, we have about 1,200 watts of solar panels that we're going to attach to the top of this, and then put lithium-ion batteries in the front. And then back here is where we have our 120-volt distribution so that we can run everything off of standard home power and appliances. If you'll notice, I don't know if you can see them from there, but there's some little wheels here on the bottom, and this gives you an idea of how low it was when we originally got it before we flipped the axles and flattened out the bottom. So these were here so that when you would pull into gas stations or take it to campgrounds and things, your bumper wouldn't drag and get ripped off. It'd hit these wheels and roll rather than drag. We don't have that problem anymore, but it's just a cool thing that's on there. And that takes us to our garage. So it opens in a less than useful way, but here you go. So it opens this way. It's kind of hard to get to things, but we expanded it a little bit from the original. You can see part of the bed frame here. And it's a garage, it holds a bunch of things. And if you see, you can barely see it back there, but there's a panel, and we can slide that panel over, and we can actually fit things that are the entire length of the camper through the center by moving that panel out of the way. So if we have like a kayak or something we wanted to bring with us, pop it in. So yeah, talking about cost. So one of the neat things about a vintage camper is the upfront cost is very low. You'll find a lot of them for, as low as, I've seen some of them for as low as, a couple $1,000s up to $10,000, $12,000, which when you're looking at new ones, you're probably looking 20,000 plus most of the time. And you'll find that in a lot of even newer campers, when you go look at them, kind of tap around on some of the parts and things on them, you'll find a lot of the parts are done not necessarily cheaply, but they're designed to be light, portable, which kind of gives them a cheaper feel than what you'd be used to in, a house that has a solid build that everything can be heavy. So you have to be cognizant of that. And so, but you're also working with a smaller space. So you can spend more on better materials without, like the cost of, let's say you have a 1,200 square foot house and you're putting flooring in, you're talking,
that's math.
thousands of dollars, versus in here you can get the best flooring that they make and you're only talking about a couple hundred square feet, and so the overall cost is not going to be anything like what you're looking at for doing a whole house, like the 1,200 square foot house. even though it is a lot of work to get it going, we do know how everything is set up in here, and if anything breaks, generally we can either repair it or know, you know, what everything is, why it's there, and it makes it really easy to come back in and, you know, if something's wrong with the electrical, we just replace a piece of the electrical. We don't have to call somebody to go in and, you know, rip something out and do the whole thing or anything like that.
So like total cost for this, we paid $6,000 for it, which was a bit high given the quality that we found that it was in once we started ripping the floors out. But all in, we're probably under, what, 12,000?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, you know, we're not really cutting costs anywhere. We got, you know,
the best couch.
We got the, you know, the best refrigerator that would fit in here, and freezer that's a 3-way, so it'll work with DC, AC, or propane. So we've given ourselves a lot of options by keeping a small footprint, and in doing that, we can kind of switch to, you know, whatever makes sense for where we are or what the time is.
Thanks for joining us on this tour of our 1982 Silver Streak. If you want to follow along on our journeys, we have a YouTube channel at Home Behind Us where we document our adventures homesteading in our cabin. We also have van life adventures on there, and there's a few videos also about the whole build of this big beast. So if you want to join along, YouTube and Instagram at Home Behind Us.